Fox Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
T-shirts in Cleveland in December. 63 degrees, beautiful day for football as the Browns try to snap a 7-game skid. Mike Patton, remember, started his time as a head coach last year 7-4, but they've gone 2-15 since then. 49ers trying to win back-to-back games for the first time this year after that overtime win against Chicago last week. Jim Tomsula in his first season, of course, took over for Jim Harbaugh after 8 seasons as the D-line coach. San Francisco won the toss and deferred, so Johnny Manziel and his Cleveland offense will be on the field first. Bradley Pinion, rookie out of Clemson, to send it away. Off we go from Cleveland. And into the back of the end zone, so the Browns will begin at the 20-yard line. Johnny Manziel with his first start since mid-November. He'd been named the starter for the rest of the season in mid-November, but was dropped to third string a week later after lying to the staff reportedly about partying during the bye week. Here he is again, though, as a starter.
And I'm most curious to see whether or not Johnny Manziel will have a little bit of rust, or if he'll be able to continue to progress like we saw from the Cincinnati week to the Pittsburgh game earlier this year.
1-4 in his career as a starter. And he begins this one out of an empty set. Scans the field, finds an opening. Travis Benjamin with the reception. Up to the 27. Eric Reed with the tackle.
One of the best things about Johnny Manziel is his ability to keep a good footwork, and he also keeps a solid base. That's where he gets a lot of his power in his throws, and he's one of those quarterbacks who's not the biggest guy, but he gets every bit of power and strength into his throws, utilizing his whole body.
So I'm looking down at that right hand after the throw, as if he didn't like the grip on it. Second down and 3. First run play for the NFL's worst rushing offense. And it's Duke Johnson for a first down. This offense 30th in the NFL, averaging only 18 points per game.
Yeah, and Austin Pastor gets the start today over the rookie Cameron Irving after struggling last week. Check out Duke Johnson. He's almost like a wide receiver, another option out of the backfield for Johnny Manziel today, and they've utilized him quite a bit, shifting him and motioning him out into empty sets. It's kind of where Johnny Manziel feels most comfortable, some of those spread formations like he had at Texas A&M.
Or as a Heisman Trophy winner a few years ago. Off play action on first down. Across his body and incomplete off of the hands of Brian Hartline.
You know, you're going to see a mixture of plays for Johnny Manziel today that help him get outside the pocket. Here they fake the jet sweep. They allow Johnny Manziel to get to the outside and try to get to the edge of the defense. Good coverage by the San Francisco 49ers downfield. But again, this is a blueprint of offensive coordinator John DeFilippo. Does a nice job of spreading out the field, trying to work to Johnny Manziel's strengths, but also shifting and motioning to keep the defense off balance.
There's Johnson motioning out on second down and 10. They dump off the screen. Isaiah Crowell cuts it against the grain and takes it to the 40. On a gain of 9, so it'll be third down and 1 against this San Francisco defense. It's had to overcome so much with retirements and injuries, and a couple of more injuries this week. Will Hoyt and Lynch both out.
Yeah, and the guy up front who really helps set the defense is Ian Williams, their nose tackle. He helps keep guys off of Navarro Bowman, a 2-time Pro Bowler. And as you look into the secondary, they've got a young guy in Dwakowski Tart who is just fantastic, coming down from the deep middle of the field, playing the run well, but very athletic guy, very bright future.
He's in the lineup over the last month or so because of one of those injuries. D'Antoine Bethea on third and short. It's Crowell getting stacked up and falling forward. It will depend on the spot, with Hodges making the tackle.
Hodges in today for the injured Michael Wilhoit, and trying to take advantage of that starting time, the additional playing time. A former teammate of Navarro Bowman at Penn State.
Looks like he's a little bit short, but they're going to measure for it.
And really credit Gerald Hodges. He's able to get up into the line of scrimmage right about the same time as the snap, create some disruption, and the Browns offensive line couldn't get quite enough push to allow a hole to be created for Crowell.
Went for it on 4th down a couple of times last week. Won't have to here. Nose of the football across the chains. And a 1st down for the Browns. Opening drive for Cleveland. Worst record in the NFL coming into this game at 2-10. He's dropped 7 in a row. Making another change at quarterback. With Manziel, who's under center for 1st down. And here's Crowell running hard for a pickup of 4. The former Alabama State star. Right at 2nd down and 6. John DeFilippo, the first-year OC of this Browns team. He was with you at Notre Dame for a while as a GA your freshman year there, right?
Yeah, early on in my career, and he's continued to climb up the ranks, the coaching divisions in college and out to the NFL. And he's really actually done a better job than maybe what his stats would show this season, preparing all 3 quarterbacks.
Johnson this time. Penetration blew it up, but he bounced outside. And Duke Johnson fighting his way for a 1st down. A rookie out of Miami, program's all-time leading rusher, who's been utilized more heavily as a pass catcher out of the backfield in his rookie year.
And this play is very reminiscent of Duke Johnson during his time at Miami. You know, the Cleveland Browns feature him more as a pass catching option at running back, but this is exactly what he looked like for the U. Second effort, able to get additional yards after initial contact, and seemingly find ways of making plays when it seemed like nothing was there.
Boy, is that a sight for sore eyes for this Browns offense, which has only 2 rushing touchdowns all year. Manziel with a deep drop, letting the routes develop, and Gary Barnidge 1st down to the 25. One of the only bright spots in this Browns season has been the 8th-year tight end out of Louisville.
Want to get a nice play design by offensive coordinator John DeFilippo. Utilized Travis Benjamin to help clear out room on that side of the field for Barnidge. Benjamin's going to release up on what looks like a deep post, and there you see the sail route by Barnidge.
Signed an extension this week. 3-year extension that has him wrapped up through 2018. And he approached the front office about getting that extension done. Here's Crowell. Wrapped up and dropped by Ahmad Brooks after a gain of 2.
NaVorro Bowman tracking down another tackle, and what a story he's been. Recovering from that knee injury back in 2013, missed all of last season. I feel like he finally feels like he's getting back to about being 100%, he'd say. Beginning of the season, he didn't feel like he was quite there, but he's continued to improve. Leads the NFL in solo tackles. A very productive player, ton of football intelligence, all those things you look for in your middle linebacker.
Missed a few snaps last week in that win in Chicago, undergoing concussion testing after he took a knee to the helmet, but everything came up clear. Manziel sails Benjamin with the coverage from Kenneth Acker. 3rd and 8, or 3rd and 9.
Interesting backstory between Kenneth Acker and Johnny Manziel. Kenneth Acker played for SMU in his college days and went up against Johnny Manziel in his very first collegiate start. Manziel passed for 4 touchdown passes, ran for 2 others, ended up winning the Heisman that year at Texas A&M.
Yeah, I was going to say it's nothing against Acker because that's what he did against everybody.
Okay.
They're in that Heisman campaign. And Johnny Football was born. Converted 1 3rd down on this drive, but on 3rd down and 9. Marlon Moore motions into the formation. Manziel well protected. Throws too high for Johnson, and it's 4th down. Bowman was chasing him in coverage. The Browns will have to settle for a field goal attempt.
One of the things that you could see out the course of the season with Johnny Manziel in his progression as a quarterback is watch his feet. He's going to read the right side of the field first. He starts coming back to the left. He doesn't really get him all the way back towards the left sidelines to make a more accurate throw. You go back to the Pittsburgh Steelers game. He did a tremendous job of moving his feet throughout his progression. Right there, maybe still a little rust getting back into it.
42-yarder for Travis Coons. Has it blocked. The 3rd time in his last 4 attempts that it's been blocked. And this time it was Quentin Dial that got his hand on it. More of the same for this special teams unit. Set an NFL record by making his first 18. 3 of the last 4 ejected. Back in Cleveland, San Francisco ready to begin its first possession of the game with Blaine Gabbert from the 42-yard line. Gabbert in the quick game throws behind Quinton Patton. And more of the same for the Browns, Brady, ending that last possession.
Well, the San Francisco 49ers are going to rush the two rookies. You got Cameron Irving at left guard, Danny Shelton right there next to him. And they just get blown off the ball. And that's what creates the penetration on the blocked field goal attempt.
Irving lost his starting spot because of poor play on offensive guard last week. As Gabbert rolls outside and runs out of bounds. Well, Gabbert making his 5th start. Took over for Colin Kaepernick in early November, and he's put up some pretty good numbers.
Yeah, and what's not on this particular graphic is the fact that he's utilizing his legs much better. You go back and watch the film of him in the Jacksonville Jaguars, who had a lot of pressure, wasn't able to really get outside the pocket. Now with the 49ers, they're utilizing his legs more, and when he sees the open running lanes, he's taking advantage of them. Had a 44-yard touchdown run last week.
On 3rd down, Gabbert gets rid of it just in time, but too high for Patton, and it's a 3-and-out. Pressure came from Paul Kruger.
Paul Kruger really the guy that the Cleveland Browns put all the onus on, trying to create pressure on opposing quarterbacks. 7-year veteran out of Utah. One of the leaders on this defense who's really been trying to continue to get these guys to play with effort and energy and enthusiasm. With 4 games remaining with a 2-10 record. It's tough sometimes.
Given up 30 or more in 5 consecutive games. Kenyon on to punt it. And Travis Benjamin signals for a fair catch at the 16-yard line on a 43-yard punt. Nice drive from Manziel last time, but a blocked field goal and a goose egg. He's back to the field after this. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame here in Cleveland. And a record high temperature Sunday. 2nd day in a row they've got a record high. And Isaiah Crowell steps into the secondary. Crowell takes it inside the 35. 51 yards for the 2nd-year man.
Well, one of the best attributes about Isaiah Crowell is his burst. When he sees an opening, he's going to take advantage. All you have to do is watch center Alex Mack as he finds his way up to the 2nd level, really providing the blocking and the pathway for Crowell to get through for the big game.
The Browns already with 66 rushing yards. They average an NFL worst 74 per game. From the 34-yard line, Duke Johnson with a cutback lane with a block from Benjamin. With the 1st down to the 15. Stop made by Kenneth Acker after 20 yards and back-to-back big plays on the ground for the Browns.
And it's that left side of the offensive line. We talked about Austin Pastor getting a start over rookie Cameron Irving. And obviously you got your Pro Bowler, Joe Thomas, over there at left tackle. These are the guys that are helping to pave the way and create the running lanes. Duke Johnson with the vision to be able to see the backside cut, but this is where the Browns need to hang their hat on in the running games, that left side of the offensive line.
So they've already topped their season average on the ground. Johnson, a nice 1st down gain. Checking with Mike Hill for a game break.
Hey guys, Bengals can wrap up the division with a win. Pittsburgh other ideas. D'Angelo Williams into the end zone from 1 yard out. 7-0 Steelers in the first. Joe, Brady, back to you.
All right, a little bit of scuffling before the game and that one down in Cincinnati. Pittsburgh rolling into that matchup with Cincinnati, which crushed Cleveland in their stadium last week, 37-3. Browns are the worst red zone offense in the NFL. On 2nd down, Manziel over the middle. Catch made by Hartline, who fumbled it and got back on top of it. 1st down and goal.
One of the reasons why they're the worst in the NFL is turnovers.
The field is a completed catch and then a recovery of a fumble. 1st down.
Turnovers, penalties, mistakes down in this area of the field, and I don't think they've run the ball effectively enough in the red zone. And all those things have contributed to the Browns struggling to be able to come away with
74 is reported as eligible. 74 eligible.
touchdowns as opposed to field goals.
John Hussey doesn't want to let you finish a sentence.
No, we talked to him before the game, and he had me for a few games during my career, and he had some choice words at times.
Yeah.
He does a great job. He really does.
So Hartline comes out. for the reception that sets up first down and goal. And Crowell in at running back. Isaiah Crowell stopped just short. Second down and goal. Gerald Hodges with the tackle.
When credit the San Francisco 49ers defense in particular. Look at Gerald Hodges and Navarro Bowman not allowing Crowell's second effort to be able to get into the end zone.
Browns only one offensive touchdown in the first quarter in the last 10 games. 49ers, by the way, haven't scored a single one this year on offense in the first. Johnson and Crowell in the game, and Crowell from the fullback spot is in for the touchdown. Only the third rushing touchdown of the season for the Browns.
And this is exactly what the Cleveland Browns needed to do to become more effective in the red zone. A quick hitting dive play to Isaiah Crowell. Try to catch the defense on their heels, not expecting that. And there lies the third touchdown for Isaiah Crowell rushing this season.
And so the Browns on the board first. A couple of effective drives. First one ended in a blocked field goal. This one ends in a 1-yard touchdown run for Isaiah Crowell. Coons adds the extra point.
Excuse me, that was actually a second rushing touchdown, but there we see the Browns back on top with Johnny.
63 degrees in Cleveland, and a 6-play, 84-yard scoring drive on the ground for the Browns to go up.
They're already equating their average of the season. This is exactly what keeps a defensive coordinator like Aaron Mangini on his heels. Running the football, providing some balance to your quarterback. We'll see how that plays out here the rest of the game.
Quentin Patton thought about bringing it out. Instead, will take a knee. And the 49ers will start at the 20 with Anquan Boldin and this offense after this. San Francisco trying to win back-to-back games for the first time this year after that 26-20 overtime win at Chicago last week. Their first road win of the season. Blaine Gabbert threw that touchdown in the second possession of overtime to Torrey Smith. After a 3-and-out, this drive begins with play action. Gabbert turns the shoulders, delivers downfield for Smith, who has it knocked out of there by Tramon Williams. And it's second down and 10 for this 49ers offense, last in the NFL, averaging only 15 per game.
Yeah, when you look at the offensive line, though, they rely a lot on left tackle Joe Staley, four-time Pro Bowler, but he struggled last week versus the Chicago Bears. And look at rookie Blake Bell getting his first start, in for the injured Vance McDonald and Garrett Selleck on IR now, so he gets his first start of his NFL career.
Play action again. Gabbert with time. Zips one for a first down to Smith, who had the 72-yard game-winning touchdown last week.
Well, they called this the old indigo route. You can see Anquan Boldin's going to clear it out underneath, and Torrey Smith just runs into the void of the Cleveland Browns secondary. Good timing, good rhythm, good throw by Blaine Gabbert, putting it right on Torrey Smith's front number.
A touchdown last week was Smith's third touchdown of 70 or more yards this season. John Drone, who was a Brown a couple of months ago, he was released in early November. It'll be second down. His Browns defense has been a monster disappointment. Highest paid unit in the NFL, but they've given up 30 or more in 5 straight.
Yeah, last in the league, and it's in part because they've got a bunch of rookies playing. You saw Danny Shelton on the defensive line, Nate Orchard, one of those outside linebackers trying to figure out ways to get pressure on the quarterback, and Charles Gaines. He's a guy who's jumped into the starting lineup, trying to provide some protection there on that back end. He's struggled as well.
On second down, Gabbert gets hit and goes down. Armani Bryant, former East Central player, Division II level, having his best season, comes up with a sack and makes it 3rd and long.
Let's see, Armani Bryant's going to find a way to get a little speed off the edge, and he's not fooled whatsoever by the play-action fake, and Bruce Miller, the fullback's got to be responsible for that. He's one of the better fullbacks in the league. That's not a mistake he makes very often. Blaine Gabbert wisely pulls the football back and just takes a sack instead of possibly a sack fumble.
It makes it 3rd down and 19. Against a three-man rush, Gabbert goes underneath. Quinton Patton crosses the 35, but needed a lot more than that. And it's 4th down with K'Waun Williams making the stop.
That's another struggling start here, but as you can see, the San Francisco 49ers are trying to set up essentially what's a screen. It's a downfield pass to Quinton Patton, but everyone else out on the route is releasing, trying to block downfield. I'm sure Blaine Gabbert wanted to get off to a better start and kind of ride some of that momentum he built in Chicago just a week ago, leading his team back to victory in overtime.
8 plays and only 17 yards for the 49ers offense so far on their 2 drives. Pinion back out there for his second punt. Good hang time on this one. Benjamin has got 3 return touchdowns in his career. Up to the 31. That's where the Browns will begin their next drive. Up 7-0, trying to snap a 7-game skid. Couple of drives already for the Browns, and they've looked pretty good behind Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, the crowd's excited. They're curious to see how he'd be in his first start back after being demoted.
4 for 7 for 50 yards thus far. And here he is at his best normally. Scramble drill is on, downfield for a first down. That's what he brings to the table. Gary Barnidge for 30 yards and a Browns first down.
This is what makes Johnny Manziel so dangerous, and defensive coordinators like Eric Mangini, you just can't prepare for this. Manziel scanning the field, gives a pump fake to freeze the defense, does a tremendous job of keeping his eyes downfield to be able to see Gary Barnidge for the big game.
And Isaiah Crowell, the injured player for the Browns, back in a moment. He's the most unique, fearless, outspoken voice in sports, and here's what Colin's got coming up tomorrow on The Herd.
Hi, I'm Colin Cowherd, and the Johnny football era is back in Cleveland, baby. But is that good for the Browns? Is it good for the NFL? I'll get into that and everything from a busy NFL weekend tomorrow on The Herd at noon Eastern on FS1.
Been pretty good so far. Blocked field goal, then a touchdown in the 2 drives. Here's Johnson, bounce into the outside. Duke Johnson crosses the 35. Mostly on the ground so far, but Manziel efficient himself, 5 for 8, 80 yards.
And so far has been effective with his legs, but also having patience in the pocket. And that's one of the things that the coaching staff really wants to see in his growth and development, is him be able to sit in the pocket, go through his progressions, get off that first and second read and find number 3 and 4. And he's done a good job of that. I mean, he did it in the Pittsburgh game, his last start, now early today. Leading his team, continuing to do a good job getting his team down the field.
2nd down and 6. Johnson again. Has the ball knocked out. Ahmad Brooks has it for the 49ers. So the 3rd time that the Browns have marched down the field, and only 1 score to show for it.
The Browns are tied for 26th in turnover margin, and these are the sorts of things that are obviously just drive killers. Turnovers, penalties. I mean, these sorts of mistakes are the things that have plagued the Cleveland Browns offense this season.
And that was actually Glenn Winston with his first carry, and has it knocked out of there by Ian Williams. That is a rude greeting to the NFL. See if the 49ers can take advantage now from the 49-yard line. Out of the eye, straight ahead they go. Sean Drone with room, and the former Cleveland Brown, former just about everybody else too, playing for his 8th team, and he's got a dozen and a first down into Cleveland territory.
This is Sean Drone, his 3rd year in the league, and he's bounced around a lot, but one thing is he is a complete running back when you look at his style. Takes care of the football, catches well out of the backfield, is good in blitz protection. That's why he continues to find a home.
Spent the first 6 weeks this year and 4 games last year with the Browns before he was released. Gabbert throwing the corner out, perfectly thrown but dropped by Bruce Ellington. Can't throw it much better.
No, and that was on time, in rhythm. Exactly what you'd want to see out of a quarterback who's trying to essentially be the franchise quarterback now for the San Francisco 49ers. He's 2-2 so far as a starter this year, and he's really provided a spark for this 49ers offense.
2nd down and 10 from the 39. And it's Miller leading the way for Drone. He's cut down by Dansby. Let's check in with Kurt Menefee in L.A.
Well, good news, bad news start for Seattle at Baltimore. Russell Wilson hooked up with the rookie Tyler Lockett on an 8-yard score for a 7-0 lead. But on the opening possession, they lost running back Thomas Rawls for the day with an ankle injury. Joe, Brady, Peter.
All right, Kurt, a couple of teams that have rebounded after slow starts. Ravens have gone 3-2 after a 1-6 start. Seahawks have won 5 of 6 after they started 2-4. 3rd and 9 for the 49ers, trying to take advantage of the Cleveland fumble. Gabbert got rid of it, and Blake Bell is stopped a yard short. Carlos Dansby, their leading tackler, has another in his first quarter, winding down.
It's Blake Bell's 8th reception this season. Former quarterback at Oklahoma, finding his way in the NFL as a tight end.
Neither one of these teams having the kind of seasons that they envision. Niners trying to win back-to-back games for the first time. Browns trying to snap a 7-game skid, but you wouldn't know it from the intensity over the first quarter. Second quarter begins with a 4th down and 1, and Coach Tom Sula decides to go. They'll throw. Gabbert is sacked and thrown down by Nate Orchard. 3rd sack of the day already by the Cleveland defense.
An offensive coordinator, Jeep Christ for San Francisco, was trying to set up a little misdirection play. They're going to boot out Blaine Gabbert to the right, and they're actually trying to throw back to Blake Bell, who was releasing on a wheel the opposite side of the field, but the pass protection could not set up. Watch Bell as he comes around. That's who Gabbert was trying to wait on. And he was eventually open, but Nate Orchard, talked about earlier. The outside linebacker they're relying on in the future to try to put pressure on opposing quarterbacks at a very star-studded college career at Utah.
Comes up with his first NFL sack to end this drive. So the Browns take over at the 36. Wells back in after he left the game with an injury. Manziel well protected. Manziel extending the play. Finds Benjamin, who comes loose because of Manziel's scramble. 25 yards and another Cleveland first down.
Well, this is what's incredibly difficult to do when facing Johnny Manziel. Watch Manziel work the pocket. He's going to keep his eyes downfield. Once it's not there, then he puts his legs to work. He's able to find Travis Benjamin, who continues to keep working downfield and make this completion possible. Look at him whip that ball down there.
Like it. Snapping that wrist. Derek Mangini told us one of the big things that they've been doing lately is limiting the big plays, but that was the biggest fear against Manziel. It's Coel gashing the 49ers for a gain of 9 as we go down to Peter Schrager.
Guys, Johnny's obviously back in the starting lineup today. I asked him what he learned from the demotion. He said it was a humbling experience, but this is the one that got me. There are 32 NFL starting quarterbacks this week, and I am one of them. It's a sacred club, and I appreciate what that is. Mike Pettin said he showed improvement in the building. What's that mean? Not only this week, but last week when he was the backup for Austin Davis, he came every day ready to work as if he was the starter.
I talked to quarterback coach Kevin O'Connell before the game, and he said he has done everything we've asked of him and more.
Quickly finds Benjamin, who's run down on a short gain. Carradine with the tackle.
You mentioned defensive coordinator Eric Mangini and his concern with really limiting big plays facing Johnny Manziel, and they've already given up 5 plays of 19 yards or more today. Clearly not doing the job he had hoped to contain him. He talked about not necessarily wanting to pass rush too hard, because then you open up running lanes which allow Johnny Manziel to get loose.
We've seen a lot of those big plays coming off of Manziel's scrambles. 3rd down and 2. Duke Johnson in the backfield with Manziel, who looks to throw and has time to do it. Finds an opening from Marlon Moore. First down inside the 20 on only his 4th catch of the season.
And this is the maturation process that we're seeing with Johnny Manziel. He's going to read the left side of the field. He's not going to see anything initially, but he's patient. He doesn't leave the pocket, doesn't panic. Ends up finding Moore open for the 3rd down conversion. Look at his eyes. Works him across, These are the sorts of things you're looking for in a young quarterback trying to make his case for being the quarterback of the future.
He'll have 4 games to prove it. Back into the starting role today for the first time since mid-November. Crowell explodes with a flag down, and this is likely coming back as Crowell takes it to the 1. He doesn't know it yet. We'll find out right now.
Holding. Offense number 67. 10-yard penalty. First down.
It's Austin Pastor making the start for Irving today.
And it looked like he was holding on Quentin Dial, and Pastor's done a pretty good job so far today, filling in for Cameron Irving. You can see there's the left guard position, Austin Pastor. See just a little tug on the jersey, and as Dial kind of spins a little bit, once Pastor gets that left arm on the back of his jersey, it's usually the warning sign. They're gonna see that. They're gonna throw a holding flag 9 times out of 10.
It's instead of first down and goal at the 1, first down and 20. Back at the 30. Try to get a chunk back with Johnson. He's stopped by the former first-round pick out of LSU, Eric Reed. He got 6, second down.
We talk about the creativity of Johnny Manziel, but Duke Johnson has had a number of runs where the hole wasn't there initially. He was patient. He ended up finding a way to make a positive play and provided big gains so far today. Eric Mangini's got to deal with 2 guys who are out there kind of finding ways to make big plays with their legs.
Browns average 330 yards per game. They already have 226. Manziel off with the boot. Watch Hartline, who's wide open. Close to a first down.
This is a little boot action, and we're going to watch Brian Hartline, the hometown hero from Macon, Ohio, former Ohio State Buckeye, and he's just going to find the open space as he comes across the field. You see Johnny Manziel trying to direct him a little bit via past the defender.
And that dive at the end got Hartline a first down.
15.
He's really emerged for them over the last month and a half or so as they've dealt with injuries at receiver. Inside the 10, first down and goal.
Yeah, we're going.
It's Crowell. And stopped by Gerald Hodges making his first start in place of the injured Michael Wilhoit, second down.
You talked about Brian Hartline kind of coming into the fray a little bit more the second half of the season as opposed to the first half. What's also been more production at home as opposed to being on the road. Being a hometown guy, kind of plays to the crowd, and that's where he's caught his 2 touchdown passes this season.
H-screen right.
Both coming in the last 5 games. He's averaged about 6 catches per game during that stretch. And a flag flies. 49ers saying there was movement.
It's going to be on Johnny.
Offense number 2. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
No.
Look, this is one of the things as a young quarterback in this league, when you have to adapt from a spread system offense to an NFL offense, you have all these things you're dealing with, and sometimes you forget the snap count. It happens. You get up there, you think you're going through everything, and the snap doesn't come. It's tough sometimes. Every young quarterback goes through those moments.
It'll be a lonely feeling. You pull away from the center and there's no ball. Johnson on the screen play for the 7th. And the 7th consecutive Manziel completion. Hodges and Bowman combine, and it's third down.
Now, actually, one of the things going back to that last false start is usually your center comes to know you so well. Even when you didn't call it on one, he'll still end up snapping it on one because he can tell with the tone and rhythm of your voice. I'm sure Alex Max had to deal with a lot considering he's had 3 different starting quarterbacks this season with Josh McCown and Austin Davis, now Johnny Manziel again.
His franchise has had 24 starting quarterbacks since 1999. On third down and goal. They rush only 4. So Manziel with time and throws low for a crossing Barnage. He'll have to settle for what recently has been an adventurous field goal attempt.
Well, they're going to try to work out a little high-low combination as Gary Barnage comes across the field. Hartline's working in behind that end line of the end zone. But nothing there. The San Francisco 49ers secondary does a good job sniffing it out. Nowhere to throw the football.
Coons has had 3 of his last 4 blocked, including his first attempt today. Came over the left side of that protection. Almost got another, did Quinton Dial. 92 and white. Got it up over him this time. And it's 10-0 Cleveland. Browns off to a good start. Try to snap a 7-game losing streak. Nice moves.
Yeah, everyone here dancing in Cleveland right now.
10-0. Coons ready to boot it away after just barely got one over Quinton Dial the last time. After Dial blocked one earlier. Patton bringing it out from deep in the end zone. And Quinton Patton steps his way across the 25 on a nice return.
Well, Travis Coons almost had another kick block today. Cameron Irving struggling up front. Dial just off his fingertips.
It hasn't been totally clean for Cleveland, but San Francisco hasn't done anything on offense, so it's a 10-0 Browns lead. And San Francisco beginning this drive from the 27 with a Sean drone run. And he keeps those legs driving for a gain of 3. Guy that's been released 7 times in his first 3+ NFL seasons. Now into the featured role with the 49ers with Carlos Hyde's season-ending foot injury.
Yeah, and I think he was looking at this matchup, looking at his chops, excited, going against the worst rush defense in the NFL. But so far, the Browns' defense today has been very stout up front.
Lucky.
4 runs for only 16 yards for the 49ers. Gabbard out of an empty set into the short side of the field for Brian Leonhardt. His first catch. Let's check him with Kurt in L.A.
Well, unbeaten Carolina already rolling past the Falcons. Cam Newton hooks up on the second touchdown pass to Ted Ginn today. 46 yards on the score. They're up 21-0 early in the second quarter. Joe, Brady, and Peter.
Try to get to 13-0. Third down and 3 for San Francisco. Brown showed pressure and backed off. Still able to get home with 3. Flag flies as Gabbard gets run out of bounds well short. Likely a hold. Dansby pushed him out of bounds.
It looks like it's going to be a hold on the right tackle, Eric Piers, on Paul Kruger.
Holding. Offense number 71. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
It's going to be a long day if they get that kind of pressure with only 3.
Yeah, and part of that pressure comes from the element of disguise. Look at all these bodies up around the line of scrimmage. Who's coming? Who's not? That's what you have to think about as a quarterback, and then you have to get your eyes back downfield. Makes it incredibly hard to really get back into a rhythm and get back into your progression on time. Nothing open downfield. Blaine Gabbert tries to do what he can to get a positive gain.
More than half of the 49ers plays have gone for 0 or negative yards. Been a busy day already for Bradley Pinion. Benjamin, the fair catch at the 22. On a 44-yard punt. Browns back to the field after this. Back in Cleveland, 10-0. Browns in front. Johnny Manziel back to the field. Midway through this second quarter. Been riding the big plays to 248 yards of offense. And a chance for another out in front of Travis Benjamin.
And it's really been about Johnny Manziel making throws from the pocket, but also improvising from time to time. And that's what makes him so dangerous to go up against, and how elusive he is. The pump fakes, the ability to scramble, and then find guys downfield. And you don't think his team's fired up? Look at Poyer. He's been running down the sidelines, a little high knee-in, a little first down sign.
Giant fist pump at the end. Second down and 10. More than half of the Browns' yardage have come off of 5 big plays. Wells produced a couple of them. Nothing doing that time. Plugged up by Armstead and Williams, and it's 3rd down.
You know, Eric Armstead, first-round draft pick this year, number 17 overall. He's 6'7", 290 pounds. Johnny Manziel only stands 6 feet tall. And one of the toughest things is when we have to sit in the pocket and read downfield, in particular on a 3rd down, is having to deal with a guy like that who's in your face. Putting those arms up, it's hard to find throwing lanes.
So, rocker.
49ers showing pressure. On 3rd down and 7. They bring 5 and get home to sack Manziel for the first time today. That's something the 49ers have not done well this year, but Eric Armstead, who you just mentioned, gets the sack.
And that's the execution that defensive coordinator Eric Mangini wants to see. He wants to collapse the pocket around Johnny Manziel. There's nowhere for him to go. He can't utilize his legs and that elusiveness that makes him so special. So that's exactly what the game plan was coming into this game, and 49ers are finally able to hit home with it.
Andy Lee, who spent his first 11 seasons with the 49ers, on for his first punt of the day. Bruce Ellington will have a chance. And a lot of room for Ellington. Bruce Ellington down the sideline. Stays on his feet to the 32. Former 2-sport star at South Carolina, was also a star on the basketball floor. Takes it back for 38 yards.
Bruce Ellington, the second-year player out of South Carolina. He's got a lot of elusiveness. Try to find a way of getting Ellington the ball in space, in part because of his ability to cut, make guys miss. He's got the speed, too, up the sidelines.
Did you see Ray Armstrong's block? Oh, it hurt it. Good field position for San Fran. Drone straight ahead for a gain of 2. This Browns rush defense, which we've mentioned, came into the game really struggling, has done a nice job so far slowing the 49ers ground game.
And the 49ers offense would really like to get that running game going, in part because they want to be able to take play action shots over the top to a guy like Torrey Smith. That run fake doesn't mean anything if you can't run the football first and make the defense respect it.
It was Eli Harold, by the way, backup linebacker you saw getting worked on, getting stretched out. 2nd down and 8. They go back to the ground with Drone. This time a hole opens up for a gain of 4. Stop made by Randy Starks. And it's 3rd down.
And I'll be curious if defensive coordinator Jim O'Neill from Cleveland wants to utilize pressure. They've had to do that a number of times this year, bringing blitzes, because the guys up front just haven't given them enough production to be able to get to quarterbacks on their own. So they've had to bring 5, 6 guys, 7 guys at times.
49ers 0 for 4 on 3rd down today. Here's 3rd and 4. Browns bringing it. And Gabbert and Simpson with a miscommunication. Gabbert got drilled as well. 4th down.
Well, the Cleveland Browns defense disguised it well. They brought an all-out blitz. All 7 guys were coming. And clearly a miscommunication with Jerome Simpson. He's supposed to be running a slant route. Whenever that happens, that's what's called a sight adjust. Gabbert takes the beating for it.
Part of what happens when you got a guy out there who's only played a few games, like Simpson. He's suspended for the first 6. And here's the former Brown, Phil Dawson, from 44 yards. And you figure he'll get a cheer, even from this Browns crowd. He so much appreciates what he's done over the course of his career. 10-3. Game of inches. It's cliche, but especially in special teams today. Several plays that have been big. There's a blocked field goal at one point. Barely got one over Quentin Dial the next time. And a long punt return set up San Francisco's only score, which was the Dawson field goal just a moment ago. And this is a touchback. And so this drive will begin at the 20-yard line. As we welcome you back inside, Joe Davis, Brady Quinn, Peter Schrager's down on the field for us today. So Manziel with his first start since mid-November. And what have you thought so far?
So far, he's continued to progress. And I think you look at him in the pocket, he's moving his feet, getting through his progressions like you'd like to see. And then he's able to get outside and run and make some of those big elusive plays that we kind of know him for back during his time at Texas A&M.
Yeah, it's what we know him for. And it was what the big concern was for the 49ers coming into this game. They had started to manage those big plays somewhat, but Manziel producing them. in the first half of this game. Flags fly. Both sides claiming they're innocent.
False start. Offense number 77. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Right guard John Greco.
These are some of the miscues we've seen throughout the course of the year for the Cleveland Browns. Saw earlier in the game, the Browns really got things going. Talked about the blocked field goal, a fumble. Obviously, when you're in field goal range, had an opportunity. But Johnny Manziel so far has done a good job of really keeping his team alive, keeping drives going, and putting his team in position to come away with at least points on the board for the most part.
How about the difference in total yards? 234 to 45 for Cleveland. And Manziel with all day. But the coverage downfield leads to the Quinton Dial sack back at the 2.
Well, it seems like the San Francisco defensive line is starting to kind of get a beat on Johnny Manziel, but watch this. Watch Duke Johnson. He turns up, completely dropped in coverage. Although Johnny Manziel can't see him, he's got too much pressure, and he can't get outside the pocket. See the 49ers now starting to believe and execute this pass rush scheme that Eric Mangini was really trying to get them to believe in coming into the game.
Back-to-back plays, they've produced sacks, second down and more than a quarter of the field, and he gets rid of it incomplete. It's as if Johnson wasn't ready for it, and Gerald Hodges bared down on him. Third down.
This is a scary throw for a quarterback, especially one that's 6 foot. You've got to find a way to get a short throw over the defensive line. Actually goes right in between the arms of Dial. You find a way of putting enough touch on it to complete it without there being a defender around.
Dial's been all over the place. Blocked field goal today. Nearly had another. Had the sack to put him behind the chains here. Third down, 26. They're bringing pressure. Manziel is sacked out of the back of the end zone, but a flag flies. Is it a face mask, which would nullify the safety? Corey Lemonnier got to him. He seems pretty confident.
And Johnny's right. It's going to end up being a first down. See him shaking hands there with Kenneth Acker, former opponent during his time at SMU.
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 96. That penalty will be enforced from the previous spot, 15 yards, automatic, first down.
So not only is it not a safety, but it wipes away what was third down and 26.
That keeps the drive alive. See, Lemonnier gets his left hand on the face mask of Johnny Manziel and turns his head enough to be considered personal foul. Look at Johnny. He's excited about it. He knows what took place.
15-1.
See Mike Pettin showing some excitement with the drive back alive and getting the fans back into this game.
No money sign anymore, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have any swag left. Duke Johnson. Hodges grabbed a hold of him. Packers submarined him. Second down. .310 left in this first half.
San Francisco. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Timeout taken by San Fran. What if you died and then were brought back to life? January, one man will find out. From the executive producer of X-Files in 24 comes the intriguing new drama Second Chance. Series premiere Wednesday, January 13th on Fox. Speaking of second chances.
How appropriately timed was that? Johnny Manziel with a second chance to the starting quarterback for the Browns for the rest of the season. A lot of people have different opinions. Very polarizing figure. Some of his conduct off the field, but this young man has continued to mature and progress on the field and being a leader. Head coach Mike Pettin talked about all the things he did over the course of the past 2 weeks to earn this spot back.
Second down, out of the timeout, underneath for Hartline. And it'll be third down and 3. 22nd overall pick. Back in 2014. Didn't take long to flash those money signs. Made his first career start in December of his rookie year. It was a blowout loss. His first win came this September against Tennessee. And then, like we talked about, was named the starter for the rest of the year after he threw for 372 against Pittsburgh. But benched due to the off-field issues during the bye week. His third string. McCown out with the injury. Davis not necessarily effective. And Manziel back into the starting role.
We talk a lot about the maturation process of Johnny Manziel, and it's really been in part because of Josh McCown, his ability to help lead and coach him in the quarterback room, along with Kevin O'Connell and Austin Davis. Just a much better room for all the quarterbacks involved as opposed to last year with the competition between Manziel and Brian Hoyer.
Saw the general manager up in the box, Ray Farmer. 3rd down and 2. Manziel underneath for Benjamin, and a Cleveland 1st down, beating Kenneth Acker for a gain of 9.
And Travis Benjamin's going to find his way open because of his quickness off the ball. Watch him leave Acker in the dust. Maybe make the case that maybe it's a little pick route as the inside wide receiver gets in the way, but that's what makes Benjamin so tough to cover. He's got such quickness off the ball, but also that top line end speed where he can beat you deep.
Left last week's game with a shoulder injury. Good sign for the Browns that he's back in. Important piece. Johnson gets a short gain into the arms of Gerald Hodges. Line down close to the 2-minute warning. All 3 timeouts for Cleveland.
And plenty of time for the Cleveland Browns offense to matriculate this ball down the field. Not in any rush at this point. You'd like to be the team that ends up having the ball last in the half and put some points on the board. 1 into halftime.
Browns started the game with the ball. 49ers will have it to begin the second. And that runs down to the 2-minute warning. Back to Cleveland in a moment. Get apps, videos, and more at iTunes.com/NFL. If you're on iTunes, you can download some Springsteen. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame here in Cleveland. All 3 timeouts for Cleveland to work with inside of the 2-minute warning now. And a 2nd down and 7. As Manziel with a straight drop. Off his back foot, throws incomplete, but a flag flies as Hodges got to Johnson early.
Gerald Hodges in for the injured Michael Wilhoit.
Pass interference. Defense. Ball replacing spot of the foul. Automatic. 1st down.
We're starting to see a little bit of over-anxiousness, but he's done a tremendous job in the run game so far today. Pass coverage, not necessarily his best attribute, but improving. A young player in the league, only his 3rd year.
Everybody told us they loved his energy, but if anything, sometimes it was too much. Had to dial him back.
Calm him down a little bit.
Yeah. Navarro Bowman said he was okay with it because he listens to him. There's Hartline for a 1st down, crossing midfield. Hello, Mike Hill.
How about Andy Dalton out with a right thumb injury, suffering a huge blow for the Bengals offense. He's in the cast. A.J. McCarron, though, steps up, finds A.J. Green, 66 yards on the score. McCarron's 1st career touchdown pass. Steelers lead 13-7 in the second. Joe Brady, back to you.
All right, Browns in a hurry now, Mike, as Manziel steps out of a collapsing pocket and brought down by Hodges after 4.
A thumb injury on the right throwing hand of a quarterback like Andy Dalton, that can really hurt your ability to be able to throw the ball effectively and your accuracy and obviously the grip. I mean, your thumb's going to be one of the biggest parts of being able to grip the ball effectively.
A.J. McCarron getting an opportunity. Let's go to Kurt Menefee to see what's coming up on the Visa halftime report. Now Kurt trying to do it though without Andy Dalton now with that thumb injury. Cleveland trying to add points before the break. Out of an empty set, Manziel feeling the pressure, extending the play, turning the shoulders, back across the grain and intercepted by Jaquiski Tartt. The rookie out of Sanford on an ill-advised heave from Manziel has his 1st career interception.
Well, this is some of the creativity that we see from Johnny Manziel, and a lot of times it plays to his benefit. Right now, to his detriment. He's gotten away with it a few times this season, being able to scramble around and throw back across his body, which is a cardinal sin for any quarterback in the league. Everyone knows this. He has the elusiveness to buy himself more time, but then sees an open wide receiver in the middle of the field, Brian Hartline, but fortunately, Jaquiski Tartt was watching his eyes the entire time and makes the easy interception for his 1st of his career.
That is a big play. The 49ers can capitalize here. Potentially a 2-score swing before halftime. Gabbert on time outside to Quinton Patton. Tramon Williams pushes him out. Just one timeout left for San Fran.
Watching kicker Phil Dawson warming up, you know, he tried about a 61-yarder, wasn't quite as good, but that was going to the opposite end of the field. And from my playing experience here, the opposite end is actually the harder place to make a field goal here in Cleveland.
I know it's something that Phil Dawson paid maniacal attention to in his career here, showing up 4 hours before game to test the conditions. Gabbert going to get sacked, and the ball came out. Gabbert sacked at the 40. It appears the 49ers got back on it. Paul Kruger off to a good start in this game, hit him first.
Looked like Desmond Bryant got back in on some of that action, but Paul Kruger able to get an arm around Blaine Gabbert, and once he lost control of the football, he didn't have another arm to try to make a play on the ball.
And now the throw for Drone is too high. So if they want to try a field goal, it'd be 58 yards for Dawson from here. And what an awful first half of offense for San Francisco. 22 plays, 48 yards.
Well, people don't realize how hard it is to play back-to-back road games in the NFL. In particular, when you're a West Coast team, having to come all the way east to Chicago and now Cleveland.
Well, it didn't take long for San Fran to have to give it right back to Cleveland. Pinion will try and pin him down there inside of a half minute. And a nice job by Benjamin to draw the attention of the coverage team. Bounces into the end zone. Drive will start at the 20. Coming up, the Visa halftime report with Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy. Got all the stories around the NFL. McCoy trying to become homecoming king. Steelers are playing good football right now and taking on Cincinnati today.
And they're one of those dangerous teams in the AFC as they kind of work towards the playoff picture. The Pittsburgh Steelers on one side with that explosive offense. Just a trio of wide receivers that Ben Roethlisberger kind of has his discretion and utilizes on a lot of big plays.
Couple timeouts here. You give any thought into trying to move it?
Not the way this first half has gone.
Yeah.
I think you go ahead and run the clock out and go ahead and make some adjustments at halftime. Come back in ready for the third and fourth quarter.
That is what they'll do. So absolutely dominating when you look at the total yards for Cleveland over San Francisco. End of the first half, 10-3 Browns over the 49ers. Trying to snap this 7-game losing streak. We now go to Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles for the Visa halftime, which starts now. 10-3 Cleveland as we get ready to start the second half. Johnny Manziel led a touchdown drive. Pretty good first half of that offense, but some mistakes as well, and so we've only got a 10-3 game. '49ers won the opening toss, deferred to the second half, so they've got it. Here comes Ellington, who had a nice punt return during the first half. Takes this one back across the 20. And we welcome you inside to get this second half underway. Joe Davis, Brady Quinn. Your thoughts going into the second half as these teams try to get their seasons kicked into gear?
Well, really both teams need to clean up the football, stop the mistakes, the penalties, the turnovers. They have to do a better job of running balance really on offense. And if you look at San Francisco having a hard time running the football versus the league's worst rush defense, and if you're looking at Cleveland, it's got to find a way to score points in the red zone and not turn the football over.
Outgaining San Francisco 257-48 in that first half. Here's Sean Drone trying to get outside, stepped away from Orchard. And Drone reversing field. Will Whitner's waiting for him on a short gain. Let's go downstairs to Peter Schrager.
Thanks, Joe. I spoke with Jim Tomsula. He wasn't pleased, and he said we have to clean it the heck up, both on offense and on defense. Says we're still in this game. That's why we play two halves. And then Mike Pettin, I asked him about that ill-advised throw from Johnny Manziel at the end there, the interception. He says, of course I'm not happy about it, but Johnny's trying to make a play. I'll take that sometimes as long as he recognizes that he's at fault.
You know, Johnny's one of the most competitive players there is, talking to quarterback coach Kevin O'Connell. And he talked about the fact that he doesn't want to give up on a play, and that sometimes works to his detriment.
John Drone with his best carry of the game to the 40 on a gain of 13 yards. Had a hard time getting Drone going during that first half. Only 12 yards on 6 carries for him the first half of this game.
Talked to a couple of the Cleveland Browns players before the game, and they actually thought he maybe should have been their starting running back coming into this season. He made that big of an impression on some of the Browns players. An easy pitch and catch for Blaine Gabbert to the outside, working on the rookie Charles Gaines, filling in for an injury-ridden secondary for Cleveland.
Field. We apologize for the audio difficulties. A couple of minutes into this second half, 49ers on the move. Worst offense in the NFL statistically, Brady, and they didn't do much during that first half.
They're clearly trying to get the running game going. Feeding the ball to Sean Drone. On this 3rd and short scenario, I would assume they're going to run behind fullback Bruce Miller and try to find an open lane.
They go to Miller for the first down.
Miller has been a very productive player. When you look at the San Francisco 49ers offense, he's one of the guys that kind of in the balloting for the Pro Bowl. Shakes off, taking a tough hits. Those fullbacks have tough work ahead of them.
Yeah.
Lead blocking and get a lot of those dive plays up the middle.
49ers fans know his story well by now. Former defensive end in college. That play blown up as they tossed a drone. Dansby was in there with Xavier Cooper, a rookie out of Washington State, and it's second down.
I'm wondering at some point, as we get around midfield, the 49ers will want to take a shot, a play action shot. They're kind of setting up the run right now. And teams have had a lot of success throwing on Charles Gaines, the rookie for the Cleveland Browns. Even Tramon Williams has had his struggles as well in the past few weeks.
Keep it on the ground here with Drone. Runs hard for 3. Desmond Bryant has been a starter all 3 seasons he's been in Cleveland after 4 years in Oakland. Making the tackle, and it's 3rd down with a player down. That's Alex Boone, Cleveland native at left guard for San Francisco. Alex Boone able to walk off under his own power. Guy that grew up here in Cleveland, played his college ball at Ohio State. It's not pretty.
St. Edward's High School here in Cleveland, but can't afford to have too many more losses on the offensive line.
On 3rd down, Gabbert underneath for Drone, who gets drilled and dropped at the 45 by Christian Kirksey. The punt team comes out again for San Francisco.
Kirksey, one of the more athletic inside linebackers for the Cleveland Browns. He does a great job in pass coverage, able to run down opposing running backs. We saw some of that right there in the last play. You talked about Boone going out in injury. Mike Iupati, Anthony Davis, 2 of the big boys up front who were here a season ago for the 49ers, and now without them, struggling a bit, giving up 5 sacks today.
Nice high punt to allow the coverage team to get down there on Benjamin. On a punt of 33 yards. Christian Kirksey, 2nd-year man out of Iowa, buries Drone. It's a guitar from Grateful Dead. I know one Deadhead that we both know, Jacob Ullman, boss man back in Los Angeles. Hartline makes an incredible catch. 1st down to the 35. Tart makes the tackle after 24 yards.
Johnny Manziel is so good at these quick hitting plays. He does a nice job of getting the football from shotgun, finding the laces, and to deliver accurate footballs upfield. Brian Hartline, one of the wide receivers Johnny talked about earlier this week with us that he relies on. He's a precision route runner, good hands. And he's a guy when there's pressure, he feels like he looks to find.
Second week in a row, he's led the team in those categories. From the 35, draw play for Crowell, who's buried at the 31 by Quentin Dial. He's had a good game for San Francisco up front. 2nd and 9. Boone headed off of the field after that apparent leg injury on the previous San Francisco drive.
We've talked about it. I mean, they've sustained a few injuries up front, lost some guys. Davis to retirement. Iupati's now in Arizona. They've already given up 5 sacks so far today.
Against a Browns defense that has not done well pressuring the quarterback this year. 2nd and 9, Manziel over the middle for Marlon Moore. And Moore stays on his feet and gets a first down. Poor 49er tackling leads to 12 yards.
Sometimes in a 2-10 season, people think that the players aren't giving as much effort as they should. Well, this play was all about effort. And Marlon Moore was able to find a way to keep his legs driving and moving and get the first down.
He left last week's game with a rib cage injury. X-rays came back negative. Feeling it there, though. First down, Crowell. Blown out by Ian Williams. Nose tackle, 5th season out of Notre Dame, and one of the more underrated guys on this defense.
Yeah, Jim Tomsula talked about the fact that this is the guy that really sets the defense and holds everything else up front, so a guy like Navarro Bowman can make plays, and a lot of times he goes underrated. He's not that big, but very solid technique, good guy off the field, and provides a lot of leadership as well, even though he's only a 5th-year guy.
Most significant role he's played in his career this year. Dealt with injuries much of his first 4 seasons. 2nd down and 9. Manziel throwing for Benjamin. He juggles, incomplete. Hodges nearly picked it off of the ground. Acker with the coverage, 3rd and 9.
So far, Kenneth Acker has done a good job of being patient with Travis Benjamin, not taking the bait on the first release point as Benjamin tries to come back across, but Acker kind of hip tossing Benjamin to the ground.
Yeah. Can't be that tough to do. 5'10", 175, soaking wet.
Yeah, I'd like to see you do it.
Yeah, well, I wasn't saying I could.
Oh, okay.
On 3rd and 9, 49ers bringing pressure. Manziel scrambling out the back door. Cocks it against Bowman. Manziel still on his feet to the 45. It was fun, but it's still 2 yards short. 4th down coming up.
Well, the 49ers keep trying to collapse this pocket out around Johnny Manziel, but he's a magician. He just finds ways of making guys miss. He's so elusive. Look, put the brakes on, cut back across the field. He eventually starts kind of backing his way back up in the 49ers defense, and somehow no one's really able to get a good shot on him. I mean, that's what makes him so effective is he's just untouchable at times when he gets in the open field, and he never takes those big hits you see some running quarterbacks take.
So punt him out there on 4th down and 2. Fair catch from Ellington at the 15. He's had some fumbling issues this year. An awkward catch on that one. Anquan Bolden, their leading receiver, has yet to be targeted today.
No catches so far, and that's why they're 1 for 8 on 3rd down. He's usually that 3rd down target to help move the sticks.
See if the 49ers offense can get it going. From the 15, Gabbert throwing for Bolden with a flag flying in. There you go. There is the first target, and Nate Orchard going to get called.
Well, that's a tough assignment. You're trying to put Nate Orchard, a pass rush specialist, on the outside on Anquan Bolden.
Now, Orchard was a hand-in-the-ground defensive end in college.
I was telling you before, he looked so big in college, and now he gets to the NFL level, and he just kind of blends in with everyone else.
He was 2nd in the country in sacks as a senior at Utah last year.
I'm not saying he's small.
Pass interference. Defense number 44. The ball in place and spot the foul. Automatic. First down.
Here's Orchard lined up over across from Bolden. I mean, that's just not what he's in there to do. I mean, he's in there to rush the passer. If I saw that as a quarterback, I would say thank you.
Yeah.
I would be thanking the opposing defensive coordinator, in this case Jim O'Neill, for not bringing one of the guys you drafted to get after the quarterback.
So they finally do target Anquan Bolden. They get a pass interference out of it. 30 plays, 82 yards for this San Francisco offense.
The pass interference occurred at the 22-yard line. By rule, we will place the ball at the spot of the foul.
Okay. They move it back to the 22. They had spotted it at the 26. It's a good catch. I can't believe we even got that far without catching it.
John Hussey's been all over it today. And in the year, I think a lot of the officials have gotten a lot of flack. They really do a good job 99% of the time.
We just tend to focus on the times they don't.
Yeah.
Play action for Gabbert. Under pressure. Able to stay on his feet and extend the play. Ran for that long touchdown last week to force overtime against Chicago. Got a nice peel back block from Quinton Patton to get a gain of 6.
Yeah, Quinton Patton's only about 200 pounds, but he gets every pound into this hit. Taking a shot at Craig Robertson, but that was some of that, let's call it functional running that Blaine Gabbert likes to call it. As far as when he utilizes his legs to get outside the pocket.
It was over. Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 53 of the defense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
It's on Craig Robertson.
I mean, and those are the sorts of mistakes that you don't want to make. You just force the quarterback out of the pocket for a minimal gain. Now you're going to add yardage on top of it. You can see number 53 getting after John Hussey, and clearly they are a heated exchange. So
Yeah.
Still fired up.
So he comes off with a fresh set of downs at the 42. Flag down. Gabbert lofting one. Patton has it inside the 25, but I'm pretty sure Patton was moving forward on the snap of the ball.
That was a good eye. It looks like he was shaving, is what they like to call that. When you go in motion, you start to move towards the line of scrimmage.
Legal motion. Number 11 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Both teams just can't seem to get into a rhythm as see Patton starting to kind of get a little bit of an edge on that snap count. His momentum moving forward, and now it negates what could be a huge play, and that's really what the 49ers offense has been today. It's kind of been feast or famine. A lot of negative or neutral gains, and then there's been some big plays here and there.
It's a 33-yarder, would have been their longest play of the day. Instead, first down and 15 from the 37. They fake it to Drone. Gabbert moved off his spot and angled out of bounds by Christian Kirksey. Gabbert in this offense got it going late, just in time last week in Chicago to tie the game late with his 44-yard touchdown run, forcing overtime, and then won it with a 71-yard touchdown to Torrey Smith.
It was really a play they were setting up all game long. See if they're setting up some plays earlier in the game now.
Second down and long. Gabbert sacked back of the 25. Xavier Cooper. Let's go to Mike Hill.
Steelers and Bengals. Andy Dalton out with a right thumb injury. A.J. McCarron in and getting picked on by William Gay. 23-yard pick six. Is 23-7 Steelers in the third. Joe Brady, thank you.
Welcome into the NFL. A.J. McCarron's first action, and unfortunately is not what we want to see. As we're going to take a look at this last sack. And every quarterback wants to try to step up into that pocket, but the Browns' defensive line left nowhere for Gabbert to go.
Seventh sack of the day for the Browns, and on third down and 25, it's Drone, surrounded by orange shirts and dropped at the 34 by Barkevius Mingo. A familiar sight for the 49ers. Punt team comes out.
It just seems like they can't seem to find a rhythm. Something that they were more successful at last week in Chicago. Converted a higher percentage of third downs, an improvement for a team that's really struggled on third down this season. Talking about the 49ers, they're 30th in the NFL.
Minions punt to Travis Benjamin. He takes a fair catch, and his own man runs into him, but able to pick it up and run it out of bounds. Back to Cleveland in a moment. Well, especially in a year like this for these two franchises, I think fans would rather focus on the pass. And both franchises have some nice histories. Jim Brown in the house.
Yes. Guy who was formerly drafted by the Cleveland Browns. Jim Brown was one of the first people you'd meet, and he really did a good job of mentoring young players and explaining them what it means to be a Brown and trying to lead by the right example. Community service on the Cleveland area.
On the 22-yard line, they fake the reverse. Manziel setting deep in the pocket. Hartline is all alone, and a first down into San Francisco territory. Another big play, this one for 34.
What happens when you have a lot of misdirection in the backfield is it forces secondary players to have to pause. They can't necessarily tell if it's a run, it's a reverse, or if it's a pass, and not allow Brian Hartline to be able to come downfield across into a big void in the 49ers secondary. Also helps when you have a guy like Travis Benjamin who scares everyone with his speed and just clears it out for you.
A few times today we've seen Benjamin, we've seen Hartline wide open on that second level as Crowell barrels straight forward. Hodges with the stop after 5. Second down and 5.
You talked about Jim Brown a moment ago, one of the all-time greats in the NFL, but some other historic players here, in particular a guy I was drafted with, Joe Thomas. That has been to 8 straight Pro Bowls, the only O-lineman in league history who's gone to 8 straight.
Lou Groza and the aforementioned Jim Brown with the franchise records 9 Pro Bowl trips. Good chance Joe Thomas will join him this year. Got rid of it quickly to Barnidge. It's a good thing that he did because the 49ers were coming in a hurry. First down up to the 31.
And Mangini dialed up another pressure off the edge. Ahmad Brooks is going to take a free shot on Johnny Manziel. We talked about it earlier. He's got that lightning quick release, and he's used to it from his experience at Texas A&M playing in that spread offense. Getting the ball out of his hand quick in the shotgun.
Heisman Trophy winner is a freshman with now Texas Tech head coach Cliff Kingsbury as his offensive coordinator under Kevin Sumlin. Hartline again. Pulled down by Jimmy Ward, second-year man out of NIU.
Had a big play last week in their win over Chicago. Picked off Jay Cutler, took it back to the house. Helped really swing a lot of the momentum. He's a guy who's a backup safety but comes in and plays at that nickel back position. You see a lot of that going against the Cleveland Browns. They like to spread the field more. Offense coordinator John DeFilippo likes to kind of work to the strengths of Johnny Manziel. So he puts usually 3 wide receivers and a tight end on the field at the same time.
The pick you mentioned last week for Ward was the first takeaway for the San Francisco defense in 15 quarters. They have 2 today. Manziel thought about it, now steps up. Manziel over the middle has Barnidge. First down and goal, Cleveland. Again, it's Manziel extending the play, throwing across his body for 22.
And that was all possible because of the protection provided by a guy like Joe Thomas at left tackle. Right tackle, Mitchell Schwartz. Look at the hand fighting going on. They're giving him all day in the pocket to be able to find an open wide receiver downfield. Talked about it too earlier. Johnny Manziel doesn't want to give up on a play. He's going to keep searching to try to make a play either with his legs or with his arm.
6 for 7, 111 yards in this half for Johnny Manziel, and it's first down and goal. Have to burn a timeout with that play clock winding down. First timeout of the half for Cleveland. First down and goal after this.
What was the reason for the timeout on the last play? Well, Johnny Manziel's coming off the field saying, "Coach, it's 0." Meaning it's an all-out blitz. They had to check the play, but he didn't have enough time on the play clock. We'll see if the 49ers stick with the call and dial the same blitz up.
They're showing it and bringing it. Manziel off his back foot, incomplete. Behind Barnage, second down. They still brought something.
And that's the cat and mouse game that Eric Mangini wants to play with Johnny Manziel. Bringing all out pressures at times and other times dropping guys out. So you can see the 49ers try to disguise and wait till the last second of the snap of the ball, but Ahmad Brooks having a free shot at Johnny Manziel, and he's just not able to set his feet and then deliver an accurate throw. And that's one of the toughest things about playing quarterback in the NFL, Joe, is you've got to be able to sit in there, make an accurate throw, knowing that you're going to get hit after it. And you're going to hurt, but you got to face those consequences when you get down in the red zone if you want to try to come away with touchdowns.
Speaking of hurting, Ahmad Brooks walks off. They're already without Aaron Lynch, already without Michael Wilhoit, a linebacker today. Showing pressure again. They'll throw it underneath. Juggled and caught, but short. It's Hartline to the 2.
Well, Hartline's so effective because he uses his body. Look at him able to get in front of the 49ers defender and shield him from being able to get a hand in on the football. And you can see it appears as if his shoulder is bothering him as he went down to secure the catch. Both these teams just
dropping like flies. They don't even have any players left. I think they're good. Nope. Here he comes. Marlon Moore joins the party for third down and goal with that play clock winding out. Inside of 5 to snap it. They get it off. Manziel retreating, throwing, touchdown! Gary Barnage beating Eric Reed for the score.
Well, Eric Mangini said, I want you to beat me when I press you with the blitz. And Johnny Manziel did just that. He saw the quick throw, was able to get depth, take more time, and find Barnes for the touchdown.
Extra point from Travis Coons. After the 8th touchdown of the season for Barnage.
Talked about it. Eric Mangini brings the blitz, and Johnny Manziel is going to do a good job of buying time in the pocket and not allowing the blitz to get to him in time. Barnage is just going to go up, get leverage onto the defender, Eric Reed, and break out. Manziel understands where the free guy is coming from, drifts away from that, just as his quarterback coach Kevin O'Connell would teach, and fires a strike for the touchdown. And these are the sorts of things that you're looking to for improvements and to make those plays. And you're looking for a franchise quarterback. And Johnny Manziel is executing it right now.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to find out here, Brady, over these last 4 weeks. Is he the guy, or do they need to use one of the top few draft picks to go get a quarterback?
Yeah, and it's a slippery slope. I mean, obviously, there's going to be a lot of holes in this team. I think after the season, they're going to look at and want to evaluate and possibly try to fill. And I don't necessarily know that they need to spend a first-round pick on a quarterback. And I think Johnny Manziel's done a good job of progressing and trying to be the guy that I think the Cleveland Browns and really the Browns fans want him to be.
Certainly exciting, but is he the guy for the future? Dropped in the end zone, and Patton will take a knee. Saturday, the UFC's 9 Days of Fury ends big with a world lightweight title fight. Rafael Dos Anjos takes on Cowboy Donald Cerrone. Plus, 2 heavyweight legends square off. Junior Dos Santos battling Alistar Overeem. UFC Fight Night, free. It all begins Saturday at 8 Eastern, only on your local Fox affiliate.
What about that McGregor-Aldo fight?
Man.
13 seconds in,
yeah.
McGregor just catching Aldo, sleeping, and then he went to sleep.
How much would you have to pay to get in the ring with him, or have to be paid?
How long do I have to last?
Longer than 14 seconds.
I think we could do that.
Gabbard into a tight window, and strong hands to pull it in by Bolden. His first catch of the day, bringing this third quarter to a close. San Francisco needing to get the offense going in a 17-3 hole.
And these are some of the intangibles that the Cleveland Browns are looking for out of Johnny Manziel. Not only leading them on the field, but off the field. Talking to the big boys up front, the guys who help give him enough time to drive the ball down the field and make some big plays. That's exactly what you get from the feedback from the coaching staff. This is the Johnny Manziel that they know, not the stuff that people talk about off the field.
How about 379 yards of offense for the Browns and still a quarter to play. How can San Francisco get it going? Gabbert feeling it, and Nate Orchard getting his second career sack. His second sack of the day, jarred the ball out. San Francisco's back on an 8th time Gabbert's been sacked today.
That's why you drafted the guy. You brought in Nate Orchard to be able to rush the passer, and he's clearly too much of a match for Brian Leonhardt. Just brought up from the practice squad due to injury at the tight end position. That's just not good scheme, trying to have a tight end block a guy like Nate Orchard, who's a pass rush specialist.
Second down and 16. Gabbert steps into his throw for Patton. Up to the 41. It'll be 3rd down and 3 as we check in with Peter Schrager.
Hey, thanks, Joe. Brady was mentioning earlier how they lost Anthony Davis and Mike Upati this offseason. Well, Alex Boone is questionable return with a leg injury. And guys, you compound that with these tight ends. They're on their 7th and 8th tight end of the season who they had from training camp. Brian Leonhardt and Blake Bell, who's a college quarterback. Not much protection for Blaine Gabbert.
Used to use those bulldozer, they called it back. Yeah. Blake Bell's at Oklahoma.
Now 3rd down and 3. Gabbert incomplete. Great break on the ball by the veteran Tramon Williams. 4th down.
He's the 9th-year player out of Louisiana Tech, and he's been picked on at times throughout the season. Struggled versus Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, but Tramon Williams is going to read Blaine Gabbert's eyes the entire time. What's made him effective throughout the course of his career is his ability to break on the football.
Spent his first 8 years in Green Bay. Gabbert got away with one. Telegraphed that throw to Quentin Patton. Benjamin settles under it from the 17. Got away from Ward. And out of bounds at the 21. With a flag down on the far side of the field at the 20.
Be holding versus Cleveland Browns.
During the kick, holding, receiving team number 24. Penalty being enforced half the distance. 1st down, timeout.
So that'll spot the ball near the 10-yard line. Jim Tom Sula's squad trying to find some answers, down 17-3. Pretty sure there was some Metallica bump when we walked in the truck this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Fran Morrison, our producer, loves Metallica.
Yeah. That's the name of a guy that would love Metallica. Fran Morrison. How could he not? And the shadow of their own end zone. Corral with a nice 1st down run of 7. And Cleveland, the worst rushing offense in the NFL, has gotten it going on the ground today.
And it's been in part because of a lot of the movement at the line of scrimmage, but we also talked about some of the key pieces missing for the San Francisco 49ers. We talked about it on offense, but on defense as well. Patrick Willis no longer there. Justin Smith retiring. A lot of pieces up front, and even a young talented guy in Aaron Lynch, who's not playing today. Still struggling a little bit. But this 49ers defense really needs to try to find a way of stopping the Browns, who are in the driver's seat in this game right now, because they're going to want to run the football and take some time off the clock.
Run that play clock all the way down. Go to Corral again, and he's stacked up short. Gerald Hodges with the tackle as we go down to Peter Schrager.
Yeah, Joe, I think Brian Hartline's been the go-to guy. Well, he is out for now with a shoulder injury. They're monitoring it, but he's questionable to return.
All right, Peter. So both sides dealing with injuries all season.
Hartline, leading wide receiver today. 8 catches, 107 yards. Really been the model of consistency lately for the Cleveland Browns, or just in particular at home.
Big play for the San Francisco defense. 3rd down and a short 2. They put Manziel in the gun with an empty set. 49ers bring 4. Manziel, time to scan the field. Well protected. He'll take off and get a 1st down and then some. Sliding his way to the 26. Protection was magnificent.
the offensive coordinator for the Browns, John DeFilippo, utilizes shifts, motions, all the sorts of things. Then he gets to some of these empty formations that help spread the field. What does that allow? Running lanes for Johnny Manziel. And the 49ers defense does a nice job covering downfield, but the defensive line could not contain Johnny Manziel, and that's what makes him so dangerous.
So they convert on 3rd down and 2. And that 1st down and 10 from the 25. Duke Johnson. Duke Johnson lowers the shoulder and runs to the 41. 16 more on the ground for Cleveland. Manziel in his return to the starting lineup has been efficient. 272. Gotten it done on the ground some as well. Crowell's nearing 100 yards. And Hartline, who's out with that shoulder injury right now, 8 for 107.
Manziel's really brought a spark to this Browns offense today, and it's in part because of a couple things. There's an initial play that's called that Johnny Manziel sometimes executes, and once things break down, then that's where the second play starts, and that's what's so difficult in trying to defend Johnny Manziel once he's outside the pocket creating.
On that play clock all the way down again. Crowell stop and start, explode, stiff arm, Crowell down the sideline. He is inside the 10, 1st down and goal on a 54-yard run, over 100 yards for the afternoon.
And Isaiah Crowell is able to press the hole and then really provide that burst that the Cleveland Browns running game has been missing this year. Talked about Sean Drone, the running back for the San Francisco 49ers, being here earlier this season. Lost out to that competition essentially with Isaiah Crowell, and you can see why they're so high on Crowell, the 2nd-year player.
Who has his first career 100-yard game. Started the scoring today with a touchdown. Hand it to him again. And Gerald Hodges drops him for a loss. .465 yards of offense for the Browns, outgaining San Francisco 464 to 91.
Double, coming.
The slant to Moore sails through his hands. And it's 3rd down and goal.
And the Cleveland Browns offense had gotten down here earlier in the game and had success. It was in part because they were running the football and providing some of that balance and forcing 2nd-year quarterback in Johnny Manziel to throw the ball into tight windows, which is incredibly difficult. Now they've got a 3rd down that's playing into the hands of the 49ers as they run on additional defensive backs and utilize some of those pressures and some of those disguises with their coverage.
Last time on 3rd and goal, Manziel found Gary Barnidge for a touchdown, lined up in the slot on the left. Now he's a tight end. He blocks for Manziel, who scans and backpedals and stays alive. Manziel throws it out of bounds. Sure was a fun throwaway, though. And him and Ahmad Brooks get together.
You know, we talked to Navarro Bowman earlier this week, and he said he was looking forward to the opportunity to be able to get Johnny Manziel in the open field. Go back, take a look, and 49ers threatened like they were going to blitz, and they backed off the ball. That's part of that cat and mouse game they're playing. But look at Manziel just slip through tackles. He's like a wet bar of soap. They just can't bring him down.
And a flag just flew.
Before the pass, holding, defense number 47. Five-yard penalty, automatic, 1st down.
I didn't see that flag until just now, but apparently it was even before the ball was thrown, and it's 1st down and goal.
Well, that's the problem, is when you can extend plays, it puts a lot more pressure on your defense, not only up front to try to contain a quarterback who's elusive, but also in the back end. They've got to cover for longer, and that's where you get some of those tugs and pulls and the things that end up being defensive holding.
It's the 2nd time today there's been a San Francisco penalty to extend a Cleveland drive. The 1st time nullified a safety on a face mask of Manziel in the end zone. First down and goal from the 3. Into the teeth of the blitz. Crowell powered down to the ground by Brooks. I think might have had a little extra for him after the play was over.
And it's getting a little chippy down there in the field. Like, these are two teams whose season didn't go the way they would have wanted it to go. Ahmad Brooks seems to be the culprit. The guy who Johnny Manziel had an issue with earlier, in the last play, and not Crowell, but the two teams are really frustrated with the way things have turned out in the last quarter of this NFL season.
On second and goal, they try Crowell again. Isaiah Crowell in for the Cleveland touchdown. And there comes a flag. There comes another. I'm not sure that Ahmad Brooks didn't just get thrown from the game.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct in defense number 55. We have a touchdown. That penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
Cleveland made a signal that he was done, but it is on Brooks, who's been involved in several plays in a row after the play.
Yeah, the two-time Pro Bowler for the 49ers clearly is frustrated with the results of his team's efforts this day. And you can see him here in the center of the screen punching the ball out. And John Hussey, he's having none of it.
Yeah. I mean, Brooks was asking for it the entire end of the possession. Last week in Chicago, threw his helmet after he was removed from the game.
It's just frustration. You got a 4-8 team, a team that really had higher aspirations even with all the losses they had before the season. Had a big win over Minnesota to start the year, and things have been up and down ever since.
Extra point from Coons is good, and when you have 467 yards of offense and a 24-3 lead, that's what produces Johnny. Cheers in Cleveland.
Fans are fired up here in Cleveland, and so is Johnny Manziel, and this is some of the emotion that I think sometimes people look at as good, bad, what have you. Sometimes they want to be a little more calm, but that's part of the player Johnny Manziel is, and the rest of his teammates feed off of it.
And I know there are folks that get sick of hearing about Johnny Manziel, but it's hard to ignore what he's done today when this offense has 467 yards and they lead 24-3.
And the Browns are trying to answer that question that's eluded them for quite some time. Is this their quarterback of the future?
Made a good case for it today, and he'll have another few weeks to try and prove his case. Well, the 49ers are last in the NFL in yards per game. They're 200 yards below that average today. Gabbert just 9 of 16 for only 75 yards. Haven't done much on the ground either.
Yeah, not much on third down, in part because they've been unsuccessful on first and second down to be within third and manageable.
They've given up 8 sacks today. Gabbert fires one. Bolden tried to hang on, and looks like he did, for a gain of 9. Only a field goal today for San Francisco. It's been a busy day for the special teams unit. Bradley Pinion punting several times. They just showed that last play up on the video board here, and I think the crowd thinks they see an incompletion.
Coach Mike Pettin thinks so as well.
Cleveland is challenging the ruling on the field of a completed catch. Timeout.
We'll check it out. Back in a moment. Mike Pettin challenging the call on the field, which was a completion to Anquan Bolden. And upon review, John Hussey.
After review, the ruling on the field has been changed to an incomplete pass. The ball hit the ground while the receiver was in the process of completing the catch. It will be second down. Game clock operator, will you please set the game clock to 8:44. 8:44.
Dante Whitner's closing speed's able to get a hand into the football and punch it out like a boxer. You can see right there. Anquan Bolden no longer had control of the football, and indeed it does hit the ground. Pretty conclusive that that was incomplete.
Former 49er Dante Whitner got his hand in on that one. And a nice leader for this defense, despite all the problems they've had this year. But a unit that's given up 30 plus in 5 straight, holding San Francisco to 3. Gabbert for Patton, who's been the most heavily targeted man today for San Francisco. That's his 5th catch, and it's 3rd and short.
And Patton was working on the rookie, number 43, Charles Gaines. And that's a matchup that I would have assumed San Francisco would try to work on more and more. Inexperienced player, not great size at 5'10", 180. Well, put your best wide receiver on him and let him go to work. A guy like Anquan Boldin has been in the league 13 years.
You mentioned the issues on 1st and 2nd down, leading to a 1 for 10 so far on 3rd down today. Gabbert feeling the pressure. He can run well too, and does, for a 1st down.
And I think the center, Marcus Martin, got away with a hold on this one. Excuse me, left guard now. We've got Daniel Kilgore center. Look at that. He's grabbing on the backside, trying to hold Randy Starks, and he got away with one there as Blaine Gabbert was able to escape and get upfield.
So he shifted over to left guard with Alex Boone leaving the game with the injury. Daniel Kilgore is now in at center. On 1st down, Gabbert again moved off his spot and has Blake Bell for a 1st down as we check in with Kurt Menefee.
Jonathan Stewart out with a sprained foot. Fozzie Whitaker in at running back for Carolina. No different. 16 yards on the touchdown run against the Falcons. 38-0 in the 4th quarter. Cam Newton resting the rest of the day after throwing 3 touchdown passes. Joe, Brady, and Peter. What'd you say?
I mean, that Atlanta Falcons team is just falling apart after a 5-0 start, and they are just struggling.
First team in NFL history to open a season 5-0 and then fall to 6-6 or worse through 12 games.
A lot of pressure on quarterback Matt Ryan there. He's had some turnover issues.
Carolina, meanwhile, on its way to 13-0. 9th team in the Super Bowl era to begin 12-0. As Gabbert gets sacked, 9th time today the Browns have gotten to him. 2nd time Almani Bryant has come up with a sack.
And the Browns are going to bring a pressure off the edge. And look at all the free runners coming at Blaine Gabbert. I mean, what do you expect him to do? There's nowhere for him to go with the football downfield. He's got 2 free guys running at him for all angles. That's about all he could do, and now he sits in 3rd and long. And again, we talked about it. They're 2 for 11 today. Well, this is in part why you've got to get a 3rd and 16.
That's a season high, those 9 sacks for the Browns. As Gabbert goes for Bolden across the 45. Previous season high for the Browns was 8 sacks, and another game that they won as teams come together on the sideline at the end of that play.
And clearly San Francisco will go for this being down by 3 scores. They're able to get about half back and put themselves back to about where they started. 4th and 9, but you'd suspect that the Browns would change up their game plan. They're going to continue to bring pressure and force Blaine Gabbert to get that ball out of his hand.
Last-ditch effort for the 49ers. Gabbert throwing incomplete. Wanted Simpson. And it's a turnover on downs for the San Francisco offense with just 128 yards today. They've been sacked 9 times.
Yeah, it's been the Cleveland Browns providing pressure off the edge. Paul Kruger, Armani Bryant. It's been a mixture of sorts. Pressure or just 4-man rushes. The Cleveland Browns have done the job today. This is a defense that, missing some pieces, has some younger players too up front. They are continuing to mature and grow and becoming quite effective.
That is amazing. He's been sacked 1 of every 3 times he's dropped back. Career day for Isaiah Crowell adds to that with a few. Wednesday, be there. Soccer legend, American hero takes her final bow. Don't miss Abby Wambach's final game. Team USA against China. All begins Wednesday, 7:30 Eastern, only on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. So we welcome you back inside. Joe Davis, Brady Quinn. We're just trying to get our suits and everything ready for you to come back inside. Johnny Manziel back into the starting role, and pretty impressive performance, not just for Johnny, but for this team all around today.
Yeah, he's been impressive, but it's also been a reflection of their defense, right? Getting the ball back with opportunities in good field position and opportunities to score. And we just talked about Blaine Gabbert, the pressure that he's received so far today. And this is kind of that tide possibly turning for the Cleveland Browns. Can they build off of the momentum today and finish the season strong?
On the way to snapping a 7-game losing streak. Johnson steps around the edge and gets to midfield. But a great day on the ground for Cleveland. Season high 217 rushing yards for a team that averages 74 per game, worst in the NFL.
And you go back to the last game Johnny Manziel started versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they kind of got away from the run game early, in part because they got down early, but there really wasn't much balance and ended up getting blown out. But now today, started right away in the game, running the football and some short, quick passes to build his confidence back up and get him back in the rhythm. It's been effective.
Johnson again. Accelerates for a first down to the 46. Correll's had a career-high 143. Johnson now with 65 yards on his 9 carries.
Johnson really turning into a featured running back with his ability to catch the ball to the backfield or split out as a wide receiver and run routes. This is just Johnson showcasing what everyone saw down in Miami, Florida for a number of years. Left the U as the all-time leading rusher.
Yeah,
there's obviously a lot of history there and a lot of very talented players who were there before him.
Well-timed blitz from Hodges, but couldn't get home. It's Johnson again. Ian Williams stops him after 4. So the 49ers are going to fall to 4-9. Still have not won back-to-back games this season. So much attrition on this roster. Jim Tomsula inherited after 8 seasons as the D-line coach. But after 3 straight trips to the NFC Championship game, 8-8 in Jim Harbaugh's final year. And now this 4-9 project they have right now. Johnson again. Stopped by Kenneth Acker.
Terrell Pryor's entered the game for the Cleveland Browns, seeing some of his first action since signing back here. Some of the injuries that the Browns wide receivers have sustained this season. Taylor Gabriel, Andre Hawkins. We're going to throw it to Peter Schrager with more on Terrell Pryor.
Terrell Pryor, you know, this guy comes into this game here. He's tried out at least for 10 teams, including the 49ers this year. He didn't sign with any of them but Cleveland. He knows the long-term thing at wide receiver. I spoke with him and he said, look, it's now that time of my career. I'm no longer a quarterback. Sometimes, Brady, as you might know, quarterbacks, they might want to play quarterback. This guy, he's safe with being a wide receiver and wants to get better.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, he's got the opportunity, too, to be on an active roster. As we look at Dwayne Bowe, there's inactive for today's game. Signed a big contract coming into the season, and things haven't quite worked out, but they look at a guy like Terrell Pryor where he can kind of be that number 3 quarterback in emergency situations if they have to. So he actually helps kind of free up a roster spot.
1 career reception for him. Came off a flea flicker in 2012 from Carson Palmer.
We were down there on the field before the game, and he's got all the physical attributes you'd look for in a wide receiver. He's tall, he's big, he's fast. It's just a matter of him then adjusting to the small details, the minute details that make his wide receivers great in the NFL.
So a few games left for San Francisco. They get Cincinnati at home and then finish on the road with a couple of struggling teams, Detroit and St. Louis.
And talking to some of the San Francisco 49ers personnel down on the field before the game, they really felt like there was 4 winnable games. Obviously Cincinnati would be tough. It's a tough opponent, but the rest, they really felt like they could possibly get 3 out of those next 4. Andy Dalton out with an injured thumb. That makes that Bengals game a little bit more winnable for the 49ers, but they've got to find a way to get more production one out of their running game, but also on first and second down, so they're more on third and manageable.
Those third downs today, a big part of the story. 2 for 12. Browns offense out there for 4th down and 2. E.J. Bibbs, the third tight end, and their fullback. Flag flies. Alex Mack had reached out to touch one of the 49ers, which he thought had jumped into the neutral zone.
How about that, by the way? He's got one hand on the ball, one hand out there touching the other player.
Good balance. Well, you know what the signal is. False start. Alex Mack didn't fool him. And now the punt team will come out.
I guess they didn't believe that the 49ers were in the neutral zone or made contact with any of the offensive linemen from the Cleveland Browns.
Andy Lee out to punt. Only his third punt of the day. Ellington lets it drop, and it's down at the 5-yard line. Coming up next, America's Game of the Week. It's the Cowboys heading to Lambeau to take on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Action continues next right here on Fox. Packers erase that 20-0 deficit to beat the Lions last Thursday.
And I know that you were heartbroken by that.
Yeah, not good. Up in Michigan.
Des Bryant returning to the place where people still aren't sure whether or not it was a catch. It was a catch. We're still trying to figure it out. Now we got a rules committee, and Roger Goodell is trying to orchestrate a more clear answer on what is a catch now in the NFL.
Did the 33rd time those teams have met. The all-time series knotted at 16. Travaris Cadet with a 4-yard gain. 2nd and 6. So that game you mentioned last year.
Well, based on the rule, I kind of had a feeling that it wasn't going to go the Cowboys' way, even though we all know that he had caught the ball and was reaching for the goal line. But you have to maintain possession of the football down to the ground, and under that rule, or under the current rule, it was indeed incomplete.
Blaine Gabbert runs for a few yards inside of 3 minutes now. Armani Bryant forced him out of bounds. You know, time of possession, people don't talk about a ton these days, but Cleveland with the ball almost half the game.
Yeah, and in part, what it does is it wears out the opponent's defense. You're on the field a lot longer. Your team has the football for a long period of time. You can wear them down, and that's where I think the running game has kind of hit home for the Browns today, wearing down the 49ers defense.
You saw the total yards, 486 to 132. It's a season low for San Francisco. Broken up on a throw to the sideline by Charles Gaines as he went for Quentin Patton.
That was a good, accurate ball, on time, on the money, but Charles Gaines, with good defense, sits on the route, is able to transition and get his right hand up on Patton's and not allow him to secure the football. He's going to have to defend another play because 49ers down by 3 scores. They're going to have to go for it.
Why not? 2:51. Browns bringing pressure. Gabbert taking off and letting it go for Blake Bell. And a first down, crossing the 35.
Well, that's the risk and reward of trying to disguise pressure, because once you drop back out of it, then you've got to get back into your zone coverage, and you've got to start covering that area of the field. Blake Bell found the opening, really was dropped in coverage, and Gabbert was able to find a way of getting the ball to him.
Clock winding with 2:20, first down at the 37. The crosser is Cadet, the former New Orleans Saint, up the midfield. And his first touches as a 49er last week. And involved again here down the stretch as we go to the 2-minute warning in Cleveland. All started with a ground game today to help Johnny Manziel. Season high 233 yards on the ground for him.
See all smiles there on the sidelines for the Cleveland Browns. It's somewhat of a long season, but They're going to be getting themselves to 3-10 after today's game and feeling good about what they've been able to accomplish.
Flag flies as Cadet catches it out of the backfield. Runs to the 35. He got 16, but a flag is down.
It's going to be holding on Carlos Dansby, I think, on the rookie Blake
Prior to the
Bell.
pass, holding, defense number 56. Penalty is declined. Result of the play, first down.
You got a 12-year vet saying to the rookie, come on, man, stop running around. I don't have to keep chasing you everywhere.
Second season in Cleveland for him. 6 years in Arizona for Dansby, a few years in Miami. Back with Arizona again.
Still first down.
I didn't catch it until the end of that call there, but they've added 15 yards to the end of this play. So 15-yarder on Cleveland moves it down to the 20. Pride thing now for this Cleveland defense, trying to keep them out of the end zone.
They've been successful so far today. Not necessarily all year long.
Gabbert throwing for Simpson in rhythm, first down and goal.
You know, Joe, this road doesn't get too much easier, though, for the Cleveland Browns as they continue to finish out this season. Earlier today on our pregame show, Jimmy Johnson talked a little bit about that. He expected Johnny Manziel to have a good showing today, but doesn't necessarily mean it was going to work out easily for him in the future.
A few more weeks of auditioning, trying to make it clear that the Browns should draft something other than a quarterback. Zipped into the end zone for a San Francisco. It was ruled touchdown, and it is to Jerome Simpson. His first one of the season has the 49ers in the end zone for the first time.
And Simpson's just going to run a quick slant. He's able to get leverage on Johnson Batamosi, and before Tashawn Gibson.
The ruling on the field is a catch for a touchdown.
Before Gibson could get there, a tight window, and Gabbert did a good job of fit the ball in. Look at that. And it appears as if Simpson did control the football to the ground, but they might be trying to argue for whether or not he had possession at the end, and if Batamosi was able to rip the ball away from him. It was indeed confirmed.
Charles Gaines coming on late on the extra point block team. Here's Dawson. That's it. Well, we're talking about the remaining audition for Johnny Manziel. Not going to be easy, and that's what Jimmy was referencing during the pregame show.
Yeah, going to Seattle, one of the toughest places to play in the NFL with the way that team's playing, but also the crowd noise. And Kansas City is arguably the same, where they've been kind of getting on a roll in Pittsburgh. One of the toughest offenses right now to kind of control and stop. So, tough road ahead. It'll be a nice audition, though, and Johnny Manziel will have the opportunity to put possibly some nice wins, if indeed he can, on his resume.
So say he goes in and wins one of those 3 games and plays decently well. Are you going elsewhere with the pick next year, Mr. GM?
Well, so all of a sudden he was only winning 1 of the 3?
I'm just trying to make it as difficult of a question as I can for you.
You know, I think with what he showcased today, I think you've got to give him an opportunity to be the guy. That doesn't mean you don't draft a guy. You maybe don't in the first round.
Okay.
Maybe you feel like there's some value there the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th. I mean, I personally feel like teams should start drafting guys, at least 1 quarterback a year, because there's so many injuries. And there's too much of a possibility of you losing your starter and have to rely on a guy that you might not have a ton of faith in. So you better be getting a guy that you feel confident in every year if you have the opportunity to.
Ball falls off of the tee. Phil Dawson lining it up for an onside kick.
Phil Dawson's accustomed to that, playing for a long time here in Cleveland. An old teammate of mine, and people just had the utmost respect for him as a leader.
And now a timeout taken by Cleveland. While we're in that timeout, it's got Mike Hill in Los Angeles.
30-second timeout.
Don't forget America's Game of the Week coming up next. Des Bryant and the Cowboys still in the mix of that crazy NFC East, taking on that guy, Aaron Rodgers, and the NFC North leading pack. Everyone remembers that controversial finish between these two in the playoffs last year. You get the rematch coming up next.
All right, Mike, looking forward to it. 24-10 here. And Mike Pettine hoping his team could fall on this kick and be just about finished. Neither one of these teams in the playoff picture, but this is what the playoff picture does look like in the AFC.
It's crazy to think the New England Patriots are there at that number 3 spot after losing 2 straight. There's a possibility that the Texans will actually be able to beat them, make it 3 in a row. I can't tell you the last time that happened. I know they hadn't lost 2 in a row since before Tom Brady was a starter there, since before 2002.
All right, so Dawson, 40-year-old, 17th-year pro, bounces one that's recovered by Gary Barnidge, and that should about wrap it up.
Will the clock operator please set the game clock to 1:41, please? Thank you.
And it was actually Jim Dre that recovered it. And Johnny Manziel and the offense come back out to run that clock. Here's the NFC playoff picture. Carolina moving to 13-0 in just a matter of minutes today.
But look at this division, the NFC East. You got the Redskins leading, but basically you got the Giants, the Eagles still in the hunt. Bunch of teams in the playoff picture in the NFC is wide open.
They're going to bring Tate Whitner into the game on offense.
This is one of those things that some teams do. You're playing an old employer, as we'll call it here in the NFL. Give him an opportunity to kind of be out there on the field for the final play, even though it's not on defense. So he's going to be basically the last man in defense behind the good old best play in football, Victory.
He killed it there. Both you on the telestrator and Whitner playing his role. State Farm Game Break Show coming up in just a moment. Johnny Manziel gets his second win as a starting quarterback. It's been a winding road to get it. You've been named the starter for the rest of the season in mid-November after those 372 yards he threw for against Pittsburgh. Dropped the third string for the off-the-field issues. Injury to McCown. Austin Davis not sharp. So Manziel back in the starting role, and for the first time in a long time, Cleveland in the win column. They snap a 7-game losing streak. The 49ers still in search of back-to-back wins for the first time. Now we take you to the State Farm Game Break Show. Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles.